So the question is very simply, why do some societies get rich? Why do they grow rich while others don't?
Right. Well, that's we'll spend not just the next hour, but the next week talking about that question. But I will try to give you an answer that will, I think, shed some light on the sort of history of the last 500 or 600 years. So let me start off by citing every economist's idol, which is Adam Smith. And so Adam Smith has a famous statement that everybody cites, and I will read it to you right now. I have it here in front of me. It says, "Little else is required to carry a nation to the highest state of opulence," nice 18th century word, highest state of opulence, "from the lowest barbarism, but peace, easy taxes, and a tolerable administration of justice." Now that sentence is been cited many times. It actually does not appear in the Wealth of Nations, but it, according to his student Dougal Stewart, it appears in some small 1755 manuscript by Smith that Dougal Stewart had seen but was never published. But it's a widely cited book because it gives you the sight of the great master about what actually makes nations rich. And it's striking that it is written in 1755. And that date is significant because 1755, roughly speaking, is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial, the Industrial Revolution, it didn't really begin the way other things began, in the sense that there was no, mass, that attacked the Bastille or anything like that. But historians, I think, can point to a variety of ways in which it happened in the middle of the 18th century. But you see, Adam Smith in that sentence clearly has no clue that this is coming. There's no reason he should. But he says, peace and easy taxes and a thorough administration of justice. And these are things that, that enhance commerce, they enhance maybe a better allocation of resources, because we know that taxes distort the allocation of resources. And, what he means by a tolerable administration of justice is, essentially conflict resolution and property rights enforcement, and all those things that he thought would make a nation rich. He says nothing here in this sentence about science or technology.
Okay.
And it's very striking, because in fact, that period is a period in which the way nations get rich starts changing. For thousands of years, what Smith said is absolutely true. If you look at areas that were rich before the Industrial Revolution, you look at, say, the Italian cities during the Renaissance, or say the Low Countries during their golden age in the 17th century, basically they made their money and they got rich primarily through trade and exchange and effective allocation of resources, and basically what we would call good institutions. There was some technological change. There always is a little bit of technological change, but it was never big enough to make a nation rich. It solved some problems, like, say, the introduction of the printing press or windmills. There's some important inventions, but it's never sustained enough to make a nation rich. The Industrial Revolution is the first case in history in which technology is actually becoming the major engine of economic change. And you can see this in everything that's happening after 1750 or 1760, all the way, say, until the middle of the 19th century, in which we gradually see this sort of hitherto unrecognized part of the economy becoming larger and larger, up to the point where by the middle of the 19th century, really the economy has been made unrecognizable because of continuous and sustainable technological change. And what is so striking about the Industrial Revolution, of course, is that it wasn't one of those sort of events in which there's some breakthrough, like the printing press, or that it really makes a difference, but then basically things slow down and you go back to some kind of steady state. The Industrial Revolution isn't just a of inventions, of gimmicks that sweep the British economy and later on the rest of the world. But it is the beginning of a process. It builds on itself. Technological change is self-reinforcing, and it's still going on. There is no sign that it's slowing down. It's changing its nature. It's becoming. Some things are and that affect its dynamic. But basically, we're still living in an age in which change is become the norm. And it continues to affect the economy and people's lives, every day. That's never been the case. So the answer to their question is basically, before the Industrial Revolution, it really is Smithian. It is institutions, it's gains from trade, it's effective allocation of resources, and it's peace. But today, these things still matter. War is still bad, and you still want to have a good allocation of resources. But the main driver of economic change is knowledge. And knowledge includes, of course, technology and how to make things, but it's also what's behind the technology. And what is behind the technology, of course, and more than anything else, is why this technology works, how do we develop it, and you could call this science. I call it the sort of the union of the two groups of technology here, science. I call useful knowledge. That's a term I like because that's what they use in the 18th century. In the 18th century, they talk about useful knowledge, and they know what it means. It means basically knowledge that is either useful today or could become useful at some point in the way we understand energy, the way we understand material, the way we understand chemistry, the way we understand the living world around us, and on and on and on and on. That understanding then creates, with some luck and some hard work, new techniques that make life better and that make the economy grow. Now, that doesn't mean the ones that Smith is talking about don't matter, okay? I keep saying this. Bad institutions and bad allocation of resources and closing the economy up for one reason or another will keep an economy poor. Just ask everybody living in Russia today. But what's happening in the West and what is happening in the industrialized world and what is happening in many emerging economies is in addition to all these things, they are adopting or developing new techniques. Now, and I think that if you ask yourself, what is the great secret of countries that have succeeded to make the transition from emerging economies to rich economies? And we're not so much talking about China here, which is a special case, but you look at the Asian tigers, you look at South Korea, you look at Taiwan, you look at Singapore. What they have done essentially is taken Western technology, tweaked it, improved it, adapted it, and then turned it into a source of wealth. That's why South Korea today is by your definition, a rich economy. They have had the wherewithal and the capability of adopting Western technology. And so my sense is that that's the main engine today that is driving the economy, that it will be driving the world. And you can trade is good. I'm an economist. I love trade. I think trade is fantastic, and it breaks my heart to see what is happening to trade today with deglobalization and the worsening international climate for trade and the American protectionism and the EU protectionism, not to say anything about Chinese protectionism. I hate these things, but that's not where the main action is going to be.
Right.
It's about knowledge.